What's up, YouTube? It's Carolina Calvin coming back to you with another NFL 2015 preview. And the team I'm doing today is San Francisco 49ers. And there's quite a bit to say. The first thing when you think about the Niners and off season is not who they got, but who they lost. And I have the list of every single guy that they lost. Um, Also, there's a couple guys that's not on this list that I pretty much remembered. Let's start with Mikey Potty. Huge loss. He was their best offensive lineman. Parrish Cox, another cornerback who got a bunch of playing time. He got a bunch of playing time. Um, Chris Culliver, another guy who got playing a bunch of playing time. Ray McDonald, defensive lineman. Wide receiver Michael Crabtree. Defensive lineman Justin Smith, who retired. Offensive lineman Jonathan Martin is another guy they lost on their offensive line. Running back Frank Gore, big loss. The guy was really consistent. Linebacker Chris Borland, I thought played well. With the injuries they had, no Bowman. Willis was in and out of the lineup. He played well for them. He I believe retired as well. Linebacker Dan Scooter. So they're losing a bunch. They're losing linebackers, losing guys on that defensive front seven. Um, right tackle Anthony Davis, another offensive lineman who saw playing a good amount of playing time. Patrick Willis, a huge loss. I think he was dealing with injuries, a bunch of different injuries and whatnot, and I guess he just decided to retire. Let's see, wide receiver Brandon Lloyd. I thought he was underutilized. Him and Stevie Johnson, who's not on this list. Look, I don't know exactly what happened to Stevie Johnson. Did they get rid of him before? It doesn't matter. He's gone, and I think he was underutilized talent. Special teamer Kasim Osgood, punter Andy Lee, who retired, and safety, let's call him Baba V. Wow. Um, yeah, I'm gonna. I mean, some of these football players have some weird names, and I'm gonna fuck up some of them. I apologize. Just looking at these guys they lost, offensive linemen, you lose three offensive linemen, and I didn't even add Alden Smith on the defensive line. Another guy they lost. You lose Alden Smith, you lose Justin Smith. Alden Smith, he was a headache. They just decided to get rid of him. You lose Alden Smith, who was one of their better pass rushers. You lose Justin Smith, who was the guy who ate, at least one or two, 2 to 3 offensive linemen had to block this guy, and he really made a guy like Alden Smith even better. Seeing he would get a lot of single coverage, with tight ends. Justin Smith was very important. He didn't fill the stat sheet up, but he created plays for other guys. He let their linebackers roam around, unblocked, to running backs, to the quarterback and whatnot. Huge loss with him. Patrick Willis was a guy who contributed a lot throughout his career as a Niner. Ray McDonald, another guy who, had got a lot of snaps, but we know all the things that happened with him. Of course he's gone, but he was a key contributor last year, and in years past. Let me see us. Borland was a guy who came in, played well. Scooter was another guy that got significant playing time. The defense, front seven, they lost 2 guys on the back end, but those are 2 guys who got a good amount of playing time. So defensively, I think that's where they got hit the most. You lose 2 corners, you lose about 3 linebackers, you lose 3 defensive linemen. Ouch. You run it. Then you look at the offensive lineman, you lose 3 offensive linemen, including their best offensive lineman, and who was an amazing run blocking for him. Then you lose, like I said, wide receiver Crabtree was already on the hot seat of being gone, and then Brandon Lloyd didn't utilize him, Stevie Johnson didn't utilize him. Then you throw the coach in there, who pretty much it was a distraction for them the entire year because they were essentially saying, "Oh, he's gone." I think they talked about on multiple occasions. It was just whenever the 49ers were talked about, more than likely it was gonna be everything that was going on with the coach and upper management. Rarely was about football. Usually it was about how bad. If they lost, of course, they will blame everything that's going on. It was a huge distraction, and it shows you why distractions can really affect it. The way a team plays. Then you have to add in their injuries. Patrick Willis injuries, um, Alden Smith not being there for whatever reason it may be. The guy was a huge off the field issue. Had huge off the field issues. Then you also look at no. If I didn't already mention, you had no Bowman. It it was a lot going on with this team, and the fans can definitely tell you. Let's see. Enough about the guys that they lost. Let's talk about draft. I'm just gonna quickly go through it, and you can tell with some of these picks, these are guys that they try to fill the position with some certain positions of need with depth, like linebacker, defensive line. These positions got decimated in terms of losses, guys that they just got rid of, guys that retired. First pick from Oregon, Eric Armstead, defensive tackle. Pretty sure he's going to be a guy that they're trying to get up to replace Justin Smith. Huge shoes to fill. The second round pick, Jaquiski Tart. I might be saying his name wrong. I'm sorry. It's a safety. Um, Maybe they try to move him to corner, or could be possibly depth. But as a second round, there's a pretty high chance of starting, especially seeing a lot of depth at that secondary. Really took a hit with Culliver and Paris Cox leaving. Third pick, Ellie Harlett from Virginia, outside linebacker. Obviously, know why they picked him. Um, could be, he could be a guy who they look at as a project, but linebacker is definitely a position of need. They need depth. They need some younger players. So, they went with him. Tight end Blake Bell. Obviously, when you get into the later rounds, there'll be guys who usually get drafted for depth, or guys who they want to be on the practice squad. Fifth pick, running back Mike Davis. They just want more competition at running back. Sixth pick, DeAndre Smelter, wide receiver. Same thing I said about running backs. Seventh pick, Bradley Pinion, a punter, possibly to replace Andy Lee, a guy who they got rid of. Well, no, who retired. I apologize. Um, Next pick, Ian Silberman. He offensive lineman. I believe they are playing him at center. I looked at the depth chart. I believe they're going to start him at center. So you got a guy who um, who got picked late. Um, and I'm sorry if I said seven pick. I was going through the. I didn't mean to say round. I meant to say which pick they were. Um, and if they got a guy who pretty much was drafted in the sixth round as their starting center, there's problems. The ninth pick, Trenton Brown, another offensive lineman. He's a tackle. He's not going to be starting. The 10th pick, Buster Anderson. He was in the seventh round. Usually guys like that don't normally make the team unless it's a huge surprise. But usually they don't make the team. Let's look at the depth chart and see what guys that they do have starting. Also, they'll show you some of the guys that they brought in. Wide receiver Anquan Bolden, he's gonna see a bunch of targets. Colin Kaepernick is like his safety blanket. Is a guy who when he's under duress is a guy he always looks for. And Anquan Bolden has been pretty reliable with him. Newly acquired wide receiver from Baltimore, who I think they overpaid for him, and Torrey Smith, but I felt as though they lost Crabtree, you lose Stevie Johnson, you lose Brandon Lloyd. You got to bring in another guy. So Torrey Smith, who's speedy guy who can really stretch the field, thought he had an off year last year, but we'll see in a new environment. But there's a difference between Colin Kaepernick throwing you the ball and Joe Flacco throwing you the ball. There's a difference between the two. Joe Flacco to me is a superior passer than Colin Kaepernick. Left tackle Joe Staley, left guard Alex Boone, center Ian Silverman, the guy I was telling you about that they drafted, I believe in the 6th round. That's going to be a question mark. We'll have to see a guy being drafted that late and he's just starting center. I don't know. Right guard Marcus Martin, right tackle Eric Pierce. Uh, like I said, the offensive line could be definitely an issue with 3 guys leaving, and you playing behind a running quarterback. Sometimes, especially in the case with Kaepernick, he does have an issue where he'll look at one receiver, if that guy isn't open, he'll take off running. Either to take off running down the field or running around behind the line of scrimmage, and that could get you sacked a lot, especially when you're playing with inexperienced offensive linemen or guys who haven't been there and been playing with Colin Kaepernick. So I'm really looking at that center. I'm not sure if it can work. At tight end, of course, you got Vernon Davis. He's a beast. Of course, cornerback Colin Kaepernick, Blaine Gabbert, who they got from Jacksonville, who's a bum, but he's the backup quarterback. I just hope nothing happens to Colin Kaepernick, because you're gonna bring a guy in who, to me, is even worse to a lot of people. At running back, you got Carlos Hyde, you got Reggie Bush. These are the guys that are gonna use the most. Carlos Hyde's probably gonna get most of the in terms of carries, but Reggie Bush is gonna be a guy who they use on passing downs. Or use on 3rd downs, of course, which is a passing down. It's a good receiver. And I think when he was in Detroit, I would say early on when he was in Detroit, he really showed that he can run in between the tackles. So maybe they use him in that fashion. But still, losing Frank Gore it's still big. The guy was a smart player. He knew how to hit the holes. He still broke tackles, although he was slowing down. The guy was still very productive. We'll have to see if the combination of Carlos Hyde and Reggie Bush can, help that running game. But then, you also got to take into account Jonathan Martin, Mike Iupati. These guys are gone. So will your running game take a hit? Well, no. We'll have to see about that. Defensively, uh, left defensive end, Glenn Dorsey, nose tackle Ian Williams, right defensive end. You got Quentin Dial. So of course, no Justin Smith, so we lost that. Outside linebacker Ahmad Brooks. 2 inside linebackers, return of Navarro Bowman and Shane. Let me see his name. Shane Scove. Shane Scove. Okay. And other outside linebackers Corey Lemonier. And then at cornerback, you got Jermaine Brock, strong safety. You got Antoine Mathey, free safety Eric Reed, and the other cornerback is Sharice Wright. Now, you look at it, that front 7 is decimated with all the guys they lost. You didn't hear my list earlier. I pretty much went through every guy that they lost. Front 7 is decimated, and that was one of the strengths of that defense. Was that front 7 ability to get pressure on the quarterback and the ability to plug the run. Could that be an issue? Who knows? Navarro Bowman, you may get he's gonna be he's the leader of the defense. He's gonna have to get everybody in line. But from just reading that off, they're gonna struggle in that front 7, without a doubt. Let me see. Okay, I was just checking everything. And the punter, the guy was the guy they wanted to draft the punter. Now, how I see with this team, offensively, I think Colin Kaepernick, with the money they paid him, he's gonna have to step up. Last year, 19 touchdowns, 10 INTs. That's okay before a guy making as much money. He has to play better than that. I said the same thing with Cam Newton. These guys are getting paid. They got the they're gonna have to play a lot better than what they've been playing. He rushed for the most he's rushed since becoming the starter. I believe at 639 yards. Let me see exactly how many touchdowns did he have. See, that's the thing. He only had one touchdown with each. The last two seasons he had 5 and 4, which is obviously more than what he had last year. But he ran for more yards. He's gonna have to really step up, especially seeing that the defense may not be able to stop people as much as they've been able to in the past. He's gonna have to step up. Torrey Smith can't play the way he did early on last year when he was in Baltimore. He's gonna have to step up. He got to help the quarterback out, and we'll have to see how these running backs play behind this new offensive line because the offensive line is a question. Colin Kaepernick to me is still a question with his development and I guess his poise in the pocket, and being less willing to run around like I guess like invisible pressure was he's no one there, but he just takes off running, or he looks at one guy and he takes off running. He's really gonna have to look at multiple receivers, multiple targets, and these guys are gonna have to step up for him. Defensively, huge question mark. I don't know what's going on with Ahmad Brooks. Um, there's a good chance he may not. There's a good chance he may not play. So we'll have to see how well that defense can play. There was a special team guy I meant to mention who I believe he was rugby. Let me see his name. Let me see. Bush. I think it's Jared Hayne. Who was the guy who I know it's just special team, but that could be something that's important. But anyways, huge question marks on the defense. Lost a lot of guys. You can't expect them to play really well. It could surprise some people, but um, I just don't know about that. Offensively, Kaepernick has to step up. He has to step up, and the running game. You have to have some kind of running game too, because you just can't sit back and throw the ball. Kaepernick, he just to me, I don't think he throws the ball well enough to sit back and throw the ball 30 plus times. So it's gonna still have to be that running game first, and that's how it was in the past with the running game. Frank Gore, the running game first, and you played off that with Kaepernick ability to move around, and we'll have to see what the coach does with him. But looking at this team, they're gonna have it tough because they're gonna play Seattle. We'll have to see what Arizona does, and the Rams always play teams in their division really well. So it is going to be tough for that San Francisco team this year. But I have a few other teams I probably will do. Don't know exactly who I'm gonna do next, but I did have a couple more requests for teams. I'm not gonna do that many because it ended up becoming a headache. And look how long this damn video went. But let me know what you think down in the comment section. 49er fans, how do you see the season going, and what do you think about, I guess, the off-season draft? And if something I didn't mention, please let me know down in the comment section. Like this video, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe. Thanks for watching.